Hi. In this lesson, I suggest adding a mutation to our backend for creating an idea. Let's get started. And, accordingly, send a request from the front end to this mutation. All right, let's start with the backend. We need a new folder named createIdea. In it, we'll need a file index.ts, just like in others. We haven't created a mutation yet. We've created a query before. A mutation is something that changes something on the server. A query is something that simply retrieves something from the server. Nonetheless, a mutation can also return some information from the server, but they are separated because they have slightly different handling from the front end. On the back end, they are essentially very similar, and all their differences. For example, I can copy some getIdea procedure and transform it into a mutation. Firstly, we'll name it createIdea. Now, let's deal with the input and simply replace query with mutation. That's basically the difference. Now, what input should we have? The input should be the same as it was on the front end. And for now, we can just copy it. So they're identical. Why have validation on the back end if it's on the front end? Well, because there's no guarantee hackers won't bypass the front end and hit our endpoints directly. So there's a policy that we don't trust the client. We don't trust our front end. Basically, we trust no one. Everything needs to be re-verified on the back end. Therefore, there should be exactly the same validation here as on the front end. Okay? So we've added validation for the incoming object. We see here that the input has already acquired the type we need. And the implementation itself will be as follows. So we have an array of ideas. It just needs to be adjusted. If we added an idea, we can push it, and it will be added to the end. But I want ideas to be added at the top, so that when we go to the page to view all ideas, the new idea is at the top. Therefore, we will use ideas to unshift input here. This means to insert at the beginning. And right now, it doesn't matter at all what this mutation will return to us, so we can just put return true. That's all. Because for now, we won't return any data from the backend. This is just a return value. It can be anything. Okay? So let's just return true. Okay? Now we need to go to our router and call generateIndex. Everything is added. Moving to implement on the front end. How to add a mutation on the front end? Let's write const createIdea equals tRPC. Yes, dot, createIdea and use mutation. That's right, createIdea. What does it tell us? So, now in onSubmit, instead of console info and submitted, we need to call the following, although we can probably just do async, yeah? So, await, createIdea. Now, mutate function and pass values there. Okay? We passed these values, they went into createIdea, and the mutation was created. And the idea was created. Let's see how it works. All right, let's first look at its work, then we'll analyze a bit. So, here we have all ideas. The last idea is idea 0, adding another idea here. I don't know, 100 characters. So, createIdea. Now, let's check our network. Yes, when we create, an idea is created. Good. Looking at all ideas. Yes, our ideas are being created. All of this is working. So, basically, when we call, well, this is how we call this use mutation. We applied it based on our tRPC. So, and when we call mutate function, it just sends such a request to the create service in the background. To the createIdea service, we can parse it. Yes, this is a post request to the address tRPC createIdea with this kind of input. Why is there an array here? Well, because we discussed earlier that it sends a batch, meaning, theoretically, if many requests were sent at once, it would send them as a single request, and each individual request is split into separate elements. Well, just the payload. And that's it. It reached our backend and worked. So, we will write more mutations, figure out different validators for front end and back end, understand why this may be the case, and so on. In the next lesson, we'll work on removing code duplication, because obviously, this Zod validation object could be reused. That's what we'll tackle in the next lesson. Thank you. Let's move on.